I am thankful to have connected with you on this podcast. I want to ask you a favor. Please do subscribe, and by doing that, you help us to bring on many wonderful guests that we can all learn from, grow, and make an impact. We are so glad to have Yash Khemka on the podcast. He's a life science consultant and he's originally from Bombay, India. He's here to share his immigrant story, journey, experiences, and the impact that he's making in his community. Yash, welcome.
Good afternoon. Very happy to be here. Thanks again for having me.
Tell us about your immigrant journey, your immigrant story. Take us away. How did you land in the United States?
That's a great question. So, allow me to give you some of the background information on my behalf. I was originally born and raised in India. I did all of my schooling and undergrad back there, but the biggest reason I came to the US was to pursue a PhD in chemical and biomolecular engineering. My goal was to be at the forefront of science, technology, and help drive some of the innovation. And the US had some of the best facilities and resources to advance that technology and influence the standard of living globally. So that's what drove me to come here. And 9 years later, I'm at the forefront of oncology today, providing strategic support to breakthrough cancer therapies and bringing them to the patients, saving their lives.
Okay, so it seems like it has been a cool journey. When you arrived as a newcomer, how did you set out to pursue growth? How was it like? Tell us about that.
Absolutely. There's definitely like a lot of challenges that come around when you're an immigrant and new to the country. You have to adapt to day-to-day life, which is different. You're away from family, from home. The norms are different. The lifestyle is different. But when I first came here, I was coming here to do my PhD and build that expertise in science. I was very passionate, curious, and driven to develop that skill set. So I had come to the US with a very strong growth mindset that I had developed during my childhood years and adolescence, and that allowed me to like stay strong and seek out what was more important. And then once I graduated from Rice and I was pivoting to industry, that was again a different challenge. It was very different dynamics, especially because you're at work and trying to navigate the complexities of oncology drug development, and it's a regulatory black box in a way that is hard to find a solution out of. So for me, because my job was so deep rooted in science, it allowed me to stick with my passion and that scientific curiosity that I've had. It's been basically a guiding force that's allowing me to continue serving as a thought partner.
Amazing. So take us through a very challenging time that you thought you couldn't do it, and maybe you wanted to go back home, you lost all hope. Did you go through anything like that? And how were you able to pick yourself back up?
Again, like that's a very that's a very important aspect of life that happens to most immigrants. I can tell you that as an immigrant, a lot of the challenges, ups and downs I faced, believe many people will be able to resonate with it. So there were many times in grad school or even in the work where things were not going well. For example, or there are like a lot of immigration related issues with securing a visa to work on long term and having that concern that will you be able to live here in the long run while you establish a career, family, close relationships, and then one day you'll have to just off the bat like drop it and move back to the country because some paperwork couldn't come through. So that's definitely been a big challenge, and that's something that's always on the back of my mind, on the back of my family's mind as well. So the way I see it is it's important remember like why you're here, keep an eye on the price, and then actively work to address those problems. But also, I will say this that if there is ever a time where I'm confident that something is not going to work in my favor or like it's out of my hands, I will just have to like accept that reality and move on because challenges will always come and go. It's in my hand to adapt to it as they happen in my life. But that being said, I do want to also say that there have been challenges, but after coming here, I've had the opportunity to explore like a diverse set of culture. I'm in New York Greater area. It's like a cultural diaspora and connect with different types of intellects, scholars, artists, people from all walks of life, from all the different parts of the world and learn from their experience. I think it shapes who I am, how I think, what I do. And that sort of feeds into that growth mindset we discussed earlier.
Great. So when you came, no, most importantly, I realized that many Indians, so I've talked with many immigrants from all over the world,
Mhm.
and Indians tend to pursue higher education across the globe. So what is the drive that is behind pursuing the education across the globe?
That's a fair argument. I think India is a very diverse country. And when we grow up and you move across different states, different cities as parts of your life, you are exposed to that diversity in the country. What happens in some cases is that two things. Number one, some Indians want to explore an opportunity outside of India because we are always curious, like, what is it that the world has to offer? In my case, I grew up watching a lot of Hollywood movies, learning about the advancements in science. A lot of the books that I read in college was written by professors in the US. So we were exposed to aspects of daily life outside of India consistently. So like that created a desire in me to go out and see what the world has to offer and see what I can learn from it. The other reason that some people choose to explore opportunities, education outside of India, it comes down to having access to opportunities that they don't in India. So, for example, the medical field, licensed field, which is what I work in, is advancing at a much faster pace in the US than any other part of the world. Maybe China is ahead as well. But a lot of the breakthrough developments happening in cancer today are in the US. And that research and development is not happening as much in India. So if I want to pursue something in that field, I will have to go to whichever country or region that development is happening. So opportunities outside India have a big impact as well. Of
Those are great points that you've shared. Thank you.
course.
And if there's any individual listening and wants to travel across the globe to study on a higher level, what advice would you have for them? What are some of the technical steps that they need to take? For example, if there's somebody coming from Mumbai today.
Yeah, I think it's important to figure out, you have to find your anchor, like what is your drive to go outside and do something, because you are putting yourself in an uncomfortable territory, unfamiliar, uncharted territory, essentially. So you have to know why you're doing what you're doing. And
Mhm.
then you have to do your research on what could be the potential challenges that I experience, and have a plan to address those or have a way or like confidence to figure out that, yeah, this is something that other people also go through, that I know in my family or friends who are living the life that I kind of want to live right now, and talk to them, discuss with them. So create like a plan for yourself first, including what is it that you want, where is it that you want to go, what are the challenges that can come in, and then create a plan to address those challenges. Once you do that, then you have to look into the regulatory procedures like applying for visa, immigration, finding a job, or getting an admission, and basically making sure you have the paper that allows you to pursue an opportunity in another country, and then figure out how life goes.
Great. So let's pause and reflect. How has the journey been so far as an immigrant? Is it worth it?
Yeah, I think as with any decision, there's always a trade-off. You will have ups and downs. And as I mentioned, it's a question that I debate with myself every now and then. It's a frequent conversation that I have because it's important to evaluate what is it that I'm getting today versus what I'm losing out today, because the importance of things in your life will change every day. So, family might not be important yesterday, but it will suddenly become important today, or something else might be the case, other way around. So while I constantly debate with that, I think if I look at the eye on the prize for me, I want to focus on my career growth
Mm.
and and I do value my family. So those are the two things that I value a lot. My career growth prospects are much better in the US because, as I mentioned, I work in the field of oncology, and the US is miles ahead in leading that research and commercialization. So it positions me very well for professional success. On the personal life part, I have my family still back in India. That is always a trade-off, a sacrifice I've had to make. However, I think what I try to do is like keep my family close. So, for example, they're planning to visit in the summer. So even though I cannot be there with them full time, they make an effort to come and see me. So it's about finding those tiny bits of happiness and just making sure whatever it is that you value, you're able to do something on that so you're not entirely feeling left out. So I would say that it's been a blessing to be in the country for sure. Some of the challenges as an immigrant, especially around like finding a job or keeping a job because you don't have a visa long term or a green card, they can be debilitating. But I think for me personally, the effort will pay off.
Excellent. So, Yash, I believe that we are all one people, irrespective of our color, race, background. But there's this character trait, or I think that Indians have specific values that sets them up for success in so many areas.
Mhm.
I say that because I live in a community where nowadays I see a lot of Indians coming to settle here, even in my neighborhood.
Really?
Yes. And having talked with them, many come because of they are being pursued to come and work here, especially in the IT world. So coming back to my question, what is that value system that makes Indians excellent in what they do? And nowadays, Indians are being sought to pick up on different opportunities across the globe. Is there anything we can learn from you and your culture and your values?
That's a good question. I will say that I've met a lot of people in the US from different countries, and I think they bring completely different set of values, strengths, things that they want to learn from from the US. So I think it definitely differs across countries. One of the key things that I will say as an Indian that we are able to bring is India is a very competitive environment, and there's a strong focus on things like math, IT. It's always been a prominent field. So that competitive spirit, hard work, and specific skill sets in those subjects, I think those are some of the common elements that many of us possess, and they can play to our strengths when we come to a different country and try to fill that specialized gap in knowledge that Indians seem to have. I will say Indians are also, to some extent, ready to mix with people from other cultures and take an active interest in learning about that. And I think that allows us that helps from a soft skill perspective. And I think those soft skills are also important in the real world.
Amazing. Those are powerful elements and values that you people bear.
Mhm.
So, talk about some ideas on constant learning and self-improvement to stay ahead of your industry as an immigrant.
Right. That's a very deep question, but I do have some thoughts on it. So, for me, in my case, oncology is very complex. I think it's like constantly evolving industry. There's paradigm shifting developments happening very frequently. So having like for me personally, having that deep scientific expertise and like genuine curiosity, passion for the work that I do, it basically fuels me to continuously improve myself. As I mentioned, I'm Indian and I was raised in a competitive environment. So that spirit to work hard and succeed is also there. It's very deeply ingrained in me. So as I was saying earlier, like I think if you're able to find an anchor in your life and you let that fuel you in whatever it is that you work for, any industry, any country that you're in, I think that will definitely position you to stay ahead. In a nutshell, you have to realize that when you come from a different country, you have a different upbringing, different skills. You might often think that, or at least I have thought that I'm not as good sometimes. It's important to recognize that while we may not be good at some things, we are actually bringing in some strengths that we have overlooked and undervalued in our own minds. But once you figure out like what is good and what needs to be improved, then you can leverage those strengths and address what requires to be improved.
Wonderful. Could you share some thoughts on seeking mentorship as an immigrant?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this goes without saying. Mentorship is extremely, extremely important for a wide variety of reasons. So I believe having a good mentor can set you up for success. Many people have contributed to my growth over the years, some more than the others. It can be either around building technical skills or soft skills. And, coming from a different background, it can just be a helping hand to help you establish a footing, which is very valuable as well. For example, when I joined Axiom, the current workplace where I am at, I had multiple mentors over the last year, and they were helping me build that deep oncology expertise. They were helping me do that at an accelerated pace such that I am now able to provide strategic support to major pharma companies, early stage biotechs across the life cycle of the drug, from R&D to commercial success. So I would not have been able to do all the things that I'm doing, build that expertise, and more importantly, do it at such an accelerated pace if I didn't have mentors pointing me to the right direction. So it goes without saying, it's very important.
Mentorship is key. Thank you for sharing that. Let's talk about the impact that you are making as an immigrant. Tell us about how you serve and basically the impact that you are making in your community.
Understood. So my employers, Axiom, for example, we have a non-profit division. It's called the Axiom Reach Foundation, and I'm very involved with their efforts to support care for cancer patients across the globe, especially in South Asian countries, which is where I'm from. I feel fortunate that I'm able to give back and help the people in my community. It's related to my field of work, of course, so I definitely am closer to the knowledge, to the subject, and allows me to make more conscious decisions and be a stronger contributor in whatever little efforts that I am putting in today to help out.
Tell us a bit more about your industry and your career.
Absolutely. So I work for Axiom Healthcare Strategies out of their Princeton office in New Jersey. We are basically a think tank style boutique life sciences management consulting firm. What that basically means is that we are thought partners, strategic thought partners to our clients, which are big pharmaceutical companies, early stage biotechs who require our expertise and deep oncology knowledge on a wide variety of areas, like helping them with their R&D efforts, helping them ensuring commercial success of a drug that they have, helping them to position themselves in a competitive manner before the drug is launched to ensure they are targeting the right patients, customers, and able to compete in a crowded environment, helping them on medical affairs, providing them with regulatory guidance and what can be expected. So we are very valuable as an organization in our efforts to support our clients. And that in return allows me personally to build deep expertise in the subject, but also not being limited to the science, being able to look at it from a business perspective and understanding how a client will think about it. So it offers a very good bridge between scientific knowledge, business knowledge, communication skills, building client relationships.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. So, share your thoughts. How can one make an impact?
That is great question again. And I think impact definitely like drives a lot of people to do good at their work or in whatever field that they are in. I think impact, I'll say hard work, ambition, curiosity. I think those are the pillars that enable you to get good at whatever it is you want to do. And it is my personal belief that if you get good at whatever it is you want to do and you have a desire to help others, leave a positive footprint, whether it's in a group of 5 people you work with, or whether it is 5 million, 5 billion people across the earth, it will inevitably result in a positive impact on some scale. In my case, I generally want to advance the next generation of patient care in cancer, and I have worked really hard to build that expertise, that strong foundation, and that is what primarily makes me a valuable thought leader who is contributing to the success of drugs that cost billions of dollars over decades to develop. And that's how I was able to personally make whatever little impact it is I'm making in the world.
Great. So, Yash, what would you do if you knew you could not fail?
That definitely lets imagination run wild. But I will say that it goes without saying there are many things that I would want to do, but the biggest one would certainly be to cure cancer. I've devoted a long years of my life living in this country, away from family, working hard for it. And I think cancer is still a long-standing mystery in the world. We as a civilization have made tremendous strides to cure it, but we have not exactly reached the finish line. And so that's what I would like to do. I would like us to take us over the finish line and make sure that we can basically say we have beaten cancer.
We are really looking forward to that. So I would say that as a community, we are cheering you on. Keep going, keep working hard, and I know you can do this.
I really appreciate that, and I hope I'm able to live up to it as well.
Great. So what is the most important thing that you would do today to make tomorrow better?
What I could do to make tomorrow better. For me personally, it's to stop doubting myself. One thing that I'm realizing over time, we know these things, but we seem to forget. But self-doubt never goes away. It's always an itch in the back of your mind. And the more you try to remove it, the bigger the stakes get, and you just spiral down. So the key is to focus more on taking action despite those self-doubts. And my goal is to remember that and take action accordingly.
Great. The key is to take action so that you will make the self-doubt dwindle down.
Mhm.
And I would also love to share that if you could, from now on, try to write one success in your life or one thing that you were able to accomplish in a day or one thing that you are thankful for today.
Okay.
Write it down. I think that many people have heard that over and over again, but it really works. Every day, try to find one thing you think it's a miracle, one thing that you are thankful for, just write it down. And as the days progress,
Hmm.
always just take an overview from what you have started writing down. And as you do that, you constantly review it and add on
Mhm.
to it. It really boosts you up and makes you aware of your capabilities. And if you have been able to go through those things or accomplish them, then you can do what is before you. So try it and let me know what happens when you do it.
I actually, while you were saying, I just took out my phone and made a personal note to myself because it's something that I've heard over time, but never really took action on it. But I can see the power in positive reinforcement. I don't need others to do it for me. So that was very helpful. I will definitely do that.
Great. What general advice do you have for immigrants?
What I will say, and I think we have in this conversation, we have had a few elements of it here and there, but I will say that eye on the prize is a big one. Do what it takes for you to succeed and get the life that you want. Things are never going to be easy. There's a very famous quote from Mark Manson that I had followed, and he says, the problems don't go away. The purpose is to improve the nature of the problems that you're experiencing in life. So things will often go wrong in unexpected ways, and it's not going to be easy. But despite that, it's important to keep pushing ahead because the challenges will only make you stronger.
Well said. It's time to invite our community to support you. Are there any projects you are doing that you want us to know about? And where can we generally find you and connect with you?
Absolutely. Let me answer the second question first. Should you wish to connect with me, I'm available on LinkedIn with my name Yash Khemka as a consultant at Axiom. Feel free to drop me a message and reach out if you are curious about anything. Happy to connect. And about the things that I'm working on, definitely a lot of exciting moving parts happening in work. So as I mentioned, I specialize in providing strategic insights that span the life cycle of an oncology drug. um, so currently I'm working on some exciting projects with two different global top 10 pharmaceutical companies in parallel. One of them is a commercial planning workshop that will help us position our client's drug for success when it releases in early stage breast cancer. It is a cross team collaboration to create the most thoughtful and impactful marketing strategy for the business and for the patients. In parallel, I'm working on a long-term commercial intelligence project in gastric cancer. You can think of me as a subject matter expert in the clinical development landscape. So I do my own research and I'm also in conversations with top ranked physicians in the US, in Europe, to understand some of the key dynamics like what are the most important competing drugs that are being developed today in gastric cancer, which patient subgroups are they targeting, what clinical data like safety, efficacy they have, how promising a drug is going to be, and then use all of that information to create like a strategic narrative for my client, helping them understand what those developments mean for their drug and how it can impact their business decisions to position them for success. And while we were thinking, I came across another example from memory. This is from the recent past, but I assisted an early stage biotech company, the landscape assessment in breast cancer diagnostics, especially for their novel liquid biopsy. So we identified what factors make it difficult for oncologists, doctors to test patients today, and we helped our clients identify the most impactful unmet needs that their technology can address. So yeah, like a lot of interesting projects that we're working on at Axiom.
Great. I would say keep going because we really need what you are doing, and thank you for the impact.
Absolutely. Very welcome and thank you.
So finally, please complete this sentence for us. Immigrants are
the foundation of this great country.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for coming. We are glad you came, sharing your insights, your journey, your thoughts, lessons learned. We are grateful. And never forget, we are supporting you. We are cheering you on. Don't stop. Keep going. Thank you.
Appreciate that a lot. And thank you again for taking the time to invite me and speak with me. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak with you and through you to the community as well. And I hope to stay in touch with you. Yeah, thanks again.